Hi, my name is Riley Allen. This is my review of Iron Man 2. So we start off with this old dude dying, and we later find out his name is Ivan Vanko. And he dies all but in his son's arms, and, his son is very grief-stricken, and, he wants, I guess, revenge for ruining his father's life, so he sets his eyes on Tony Stark. Speaking of the man, he gets summoned to testify in front of the Senate's Armed Forces Committee or whatever. Because the government wants his shit, his Iron Man suit. They end up pulling the jerk move of bringing in Rhodey to testify, and then only trying to have Rhodey read just one paragraph. They also try to use grainy images of places that are attempting to make Iron Man suits. Tony hacks the feed and shows the live footage where they all fail, and he says 5 to 10 years. And then they also call in his, competitor, Justin Hammer. And Justin Hammer, tried to make one. And when the video showed, he freaked out and tried to, close it down. I love Tony in this scene, he was making fun of the senator, basically. He was making fun of Justin Hammer when they introduced him as the expert. He was like, I acknowledge that Justin Hammer has entered the building. I'm wondering when the expert's gonna follow. God. And then after he says, yeah, there's not gonna be another Iron Man suit for 5 to 10 years, except Justin Hammer. He's gonna be 20. I also love that doesn't really hold it against Rhodey for, basically testifying against him, I guess. Business is business, different, I guess. Also, I didn't know he was a lieutenant colonel. I guess he's not a colonel yet, so he's still lieutenant colonel. So, another thing is, Tony is dying from poisoning, which he's getting poisoned by his reactor in his chest. So he's basically going through a crisis because he's about to die. So he's selling off all his paintings, all his other shit. And then he decides to name Pepper the CEO. He decides to name a beautiful chick as his assistant or her assistant. We later find out that she's a spy from S.H.I.E.L.D., Natasha Romanoff. We get some, we see Ivan Vanko making his own type of arc suit or suit due to, I guess, the fact that his father helped create the arc reactor, and I guess, I don't know. Tony goes to Monaco, one of those, and enters a race. And that's where Ivan attacks him. He definitely kills some of those race car drivers. Tony manages to escape because Happy comes in clutch, basically just ramming his car into Ivan a few times. And then Pepper throws him the suitcase where he keeps his suit compressed and compacted. So they have a fight. He subdues Ivan Vanko. He's taken to prison. Ivan Vanko is break out of prison by Justin Hammer. And I guess Ivan agrees to work with Justin. Tony and Rhodey have a fight at his house, or his party, and Rhodey proceeds to steal one of his suits. Thanks to Ivan, Justin Hammer managed to make several suits which he gives to the army, or the military, because he's a military contractor. One of the people wearing a suit is Rhodey. And they're introducing this at the Stark Expo, which is personally top tier trolling. It would be top tier trolling if it actually worked, but Ivan Vanko put in a screw you plan where it's all controlled by him. So they all start going ballistic, attacking people. So Tony comes in and tries to save the day. Then Rhodey comes in with armor and helps him. And then they eventually attack Ivan Vanko, managing to defeat and kill him. It ends with, Pepper trying to quit. But, Tony's like, no, you don't get to quit, So they kiss. So they end up start kissing, and then Rhodey comes in with all these quips, like, Rhodey was funny in this scene. Rhodey is, unironically, I think, the best part of this movie. Except in the, fight between them. I didn't really like that scene. I guess I didn't like the two bros fighting, because that's... I actually do like... I don't like Tony Stark, but I do like his friendships with Rhodey and Happy, I guess. And Pepper, kind of. And I also can't deny that he does learn from his mistakes, he does try to better his suits and better prepare. He sees where he failed and fix it, I guess, so to say. Also, we see everybody's favorite one-eyed pirate, Nick Fury, show up, basically drop the most suspicious, or he basically comes in, says a whole lot without saying anything, basically. That's his specialty. His secrets have got secrets. He tells, Tony that his father helped create S.H.I.E.L.D., and, basically says the cure for his poisoning, he's just got to look in his father's research, which he does, finds the cure, gets better. And then we also get this kind of setup, which I like. Coulson is initially assigned to him to watch him, but he ends up leaving because he's getting reassigned, which comes up later in the post-credit scene where we see Thor's hammer in the desert, which is setting up the next movie, which I think is Thor. Honestly, I liked the villain. I liked the concept of Whiplash. I kind of felt like Justin Hammer was basically a nothing character. I mean, he was there to be a slimy rich dude businessman, and then he got his comeuppance. He was arrested, I kind of felt like, I guess they wanted to bring him in so Ivan Vanko could make all these suits of armor realistically, but I don't know. Other than that, he just kind of felt like a nothing character. Other than just to have a secondary villain. Also, I can't remember if this is right or not, but I could be wrong, but I think the senator that was in the hearing was actually part of Hydra. And if so, that would, I guess, make sense why he wanted the suits. I could be wrong, though. Could be thinking a different character. I also did like that at the end where in before the post credits and after the Pepper scene, Fury comes in, basically tells Tony that he is not approved. And I do like Tony being like, basically cutting all of this out because, like, Natasha's assessment was based on when he thought he was dying and going through a crisis. And I did like he was like, narcissistic personality. Yeah, okay, that's fair. So at least he's honest about it, you know, and also destructive tendencies. I mean, I feel like he does. I feel like what we learned from the first movie and this one, he does kind of have those tendencies, but this was kind of exasperated by the fact that he thought he was going to die. So, you know, and erratic behaviors, I guess, all that. And it says, Iron Man approved, Tony Stark not. And then Nick Fury's like, you know, we can bring you on as a consultant. And Tony proceeds to say, you can't afford me, which I loved that line so much. And then he proceeds to ask Fury for a favor. He and Rhodey are up for, I guess, medals. It looked like they got handed the same medal. I don't know why they'd be handed the same medal. I don't know what medals they're supposed to be handed, but they looked like they were handed the same one. I feel like they'd be handed different ones because Tony's a civilian and Rhodey's a service member, an airman. And his favor was to get the Senator Stern, I think his name was, to be the senator. And this man looked like he would rather be anywhere. He'd rather eat some rusty nails. Loved that. I loved that scene. It was a good movie, and I did like that they didn't try to like, oh, poor Ivan Vanko, you know, he and his dad got deported and he lived a tough life. No, you know, like, they didn't try to sugarcoat him. He had a tough situation. He chose to make it tougher on himself, I guess so to say, by choosing revenge. Because Ivan Vanko is a smart dude. You can't be an idiot and not create the Whiplash suit. He could have did something. He could have easily made this and sold it to where did he live? The Russians? Could have did that. Pretty sure they'd have loved that. But, you know, he chose his revenge. And I'm glad they didn't take the time to be like, oh no, poor him, you know? They're like, yeah, his dad was a traitor in the Cold War. He got deported. Yeah, that was that. And they also mentioned that Ivan did something of the similar, selling secrets or whatever, and I think he served prison. I think they mentioned that. Could be wrong. As I said, I do like the friendships between Tony, Happy, Rhodey, and I'm still iffy on the relationship with him and Pepper. I just can't really see it. I don't know how much I like Natasha in this movie. Like, I understand why she's there, because they need to set her up for the Avengers, but I just feel like she didn't need to be there. I feel like we kind of got this whole assessment via just be like S.H.I.E.L.D. saying, yeah, we got eyes everywhere. But, you know, they chose to have a spy physically go in, which I guess is smarter. But I just kind of felt like she was kind of shoved in the movie. And at least they made her work, you know? And we also got the cool scene where she and Happy go into Justin Hammer's place and beat up all his guards. That was a pretty good scene. And Happy is the average guy, but this man looks so out of his league compared to all these basically superheroes that I kind of feel bad for this guy. Like, I think he's canonically a former boxer, and he was holding his, own against this other dude who was clearly young, in better shape than him, I guess, maybe younger than him, I don't know, and, fully trained. So, I mean, he was holding his own, so to say. Just, Natasha's Natasha. You can't compare yourself to the Black Widow when you're poor Happy Hogan. Overall, I guess I'd give this movie 8 out of 10. It was a great movie. It's just, Iron Man's not my favorite superhero. He's actually my least favorite of the original Avengers. So, that basically kind of turned me off a bit. Not so much turned me off a bit, it's just like, it turns down the enjoyment level. So, 8 out of 10 is fine. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.